November 24, 1971, 35 passengers sit belted into their seats on a routine flight from Portland to Seattle. Four words are about to start one of the only unsolved hijackings in American history. I have a bomb. Minutes later, he will vanish from a moving aircraft, 3 miles above the Pacific Northwest, carrying $200,000 in cash. He will never be seen again. This is the story of the man the world came to know as D.B. Cooper. He bought his plane ticket in cash under the name Dan Cooper. Witnesses guessed he was in his mid-40s. He wore a dark business suit, a black tie, a white shirt, and carried a folded raincoat over one arm. Passengers and crew later described him as calm, quiet, almost polite. Nothing about him seemed unusual at first. Once airborne, he ordered a bourbon and soda, like any other passenger settling in for a short evening flight. No one on Flight 305 had any reason to remember him, until he passed a note to a flight attendant. Flight attendant Florence Schaffner assumed it was a phone number, and slipped the folded paper into her pocket unread. He leaned closer and spoke quietly. "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Cooper opened his briefcase just enough to reveal a tangle of wires and cylinders. His demands followed immediately, calm and precise. $200,000, paid entirely in $20 bills. 4 parachutes. And a fuel truck waiting on the runway in Seattle. For nearly 2 hours, the aircraft circled quietly over Puget Sound, while federal agents scrambled to gather everything he had asked for. When Flight 305 finally landed in Seattle, Cooper kept his word. He allowed all 35 passengers to leave the plane. One flight attendant and the entire cockpit crew remained on board. Cooper stayed calm, almost businesslike, as the exchange took place. With the ransom and parachutes delivered, he ordered the plane back into the sky, its stated destination Mexico City. But his instructions for the flight were strange. Fly low, under 10,000 feet. Flaps down. Landing gear extended. The cabin was to remain unpressurized, and the rear stairway of the Boeing 727 was to stay unlocked throughout the flight. Somewhere over the dense, dark forests of southwest Washington, Cooper did something no investigator fully expected him to attempt. He lowered the aircraft's rear air stair, the one built directly into the tail of the plane, and stepped out into the night. The time was roughly 8:13 in the evening. The temperature outside was well below freezing. He wore nothing but a business suit and a pair of loafers. Falling into darkness with a knapsack of cash strapped to him. He was never seen again. Not by the crew, not by search teams, not by anyone in the more than 50 years since. The FBI opened a case file with a code name, NORJAK, short for Northwest Hijacking. The manhunt began within hours. Over the years that followed, investigators would examine more than 800 individual suspects one by one, without a confirmed match. Search parties combed the dense forests of southwest Washington for weeks, on foot, on horseback, and from the air. Divers searched the cold rivers below the flight path. Search dogs worked the tree lines. Nothing turned up at all. No body. No parachute. No briefcase. No trace of the $200,000 Cooper carried into the night sky. For nearly a decade, the case sat cold. One of the FBI's most stubborn, unsolved mysteries in modern American history. Then, in February 1980, everything changed. An 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram was digging along a riverbank. At a spot called Tena Bar, along the Columbia River, his shovel struck something buried beneath the sand. 3 decayed bundles of cash, still bound together by rotting rubber bands. The serial numbers were an exact match. $5,800 of Cooper's ransom money, buried in the sand. A fraction of the original amount. How the money got there, and where the remaining balance disappeared to, has never been explained by anyone. In July 2016, after 45 years of active investigation, the FBI formally closed the case, its resources needed elsewhere. From here, we move away from confirmed fact into the realm of theory. Nothing in this next section has ever been proven. One name that surfaces often is Richard McCoy Jr., a Vietnam veteran and a highly skilled, experienced skydiver. Less than a year after Cooper's disappearance, McCoy carried out an almost identical hijacking and was caught soon after. Investigators studied him closely, but ultimately ruled him out, citing differences in his physical description compared to witness account. A second theory centers on Kenneth Christensen, a former paratrooper who later worked as an airline mechanic and flight attendant. His family has said that, near the end of his life, he made comments they found strange and suspicious. Nothing about those comments has ever been confirmed, and Christensen was never formally named a suspect by the Bureau. A third name widely discussed online is Robert Rackstraw, a Vietnam-era pilot with a documented criminal record. A group of amateur investigators publicly named him as their prime suspect, building a case from circumstantial evidence. Rackstraw denied any involvement until his death in 2019. The FBI never filed charges against him. None of these 3 theories, or the hundreds of others proposed over the decades, has ever been proven true. No suspect has ever been tied to the case through DNA, through fingerprints, or through any conclusive physical evidence. Officially, the case of D.B. Cooper is closed, but unsolved. 2 very different words that rarely appear together. The FBI has said it will only reopen the file if real physical evidence surfaces: the parachute, the briefcase, the missing cash. Even so, amateur investigators, retired agents, and true crime researchers still comb through the case files today, chasing overlooked leads. Aviation experts continue to debate whether a jump like Cooper's, in those conditions, was even survivable at all. Some believe he died within minutes of leaving the aircraft, swallowed by the forest below. Others believe he walked away. Somewhere in the dense woods of southwest Washington, or perhaps nowhere at all, an answer may still be waiting. For more than 50 years, one man has managed something almost no one else in criminal history ever has. He vanished completely, deliberately, and left behind almost nothing but a name that was probably never his own. If you were on that plane, on that cold November night, would you have noticed him at all? This has been your host. If this case pulled you in, there are others just like it waiting. Subscribe and join us next time as we open another file the world has never quite closed.